Hello YouTubers, and welcome to another Doctor Who action figure review. Today we're going to take a look at this set, one of the most anticipated sets. That's right, it is the Sontarans Set. So first off, we're going to take a look at the packaging. Very similar to the packaging what we've got with all the other B&M sets. If you've been following my channel, then it's what you come to expect as far as the packaging goes. So you have this nice window box packaging with the 13th Doctor style guide with the logo and the TARDIS and everything. You've got your figures displayed aside there. So you have Linx, Styre and Harry Sullivan, who I don't really think is an imbecile, by the way, but you know, just want to put that out there. And again, there's a picture of the figures, prototype images, and you've got that at the back there as well. And there's a 13th Doctor's TARDIS, tells you what's in it, gives you some info that's in this set. So overall, once again, as always, I've said before, nice packaging. Now let's take a look at these figures outside of the box.
And here they are. I've got to say that this, along with the 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime, is probably my most anticipated set out of the whole B&M range. So without further ado, let's finally take a look at these three great figures. Now, I was rather unsure which one to talk about first, but I decided we're going to go with Linx, as we're going to go from order of appearance in the TV series. Now, this was a figure which was released a few years ago as a Forbidden Planet exclusive, and guess what? I never managed to get my hands on it. I saw it once when I went to a Forbidden Planet store, but I just couldn't afford it, and I ended up passing on the set for another set. I can't remember what set it was at the top of my head that I ended up buying instead. But in a nutshell, yeah, I never got this, and I tried to get it online and it was just so expensive. Scalpers were selling it for ridiculous prices, and in the end, this figure, along with the other Sontaran in this set, I just gave up all hope on. I thought I probably won't ever get those figures at any point. But this re-release, which has been made possible by B&M bargains, is something which I just fist pumped about when I found out that this set was coming out. So obviously there's a few differences with the Sontarans in this set compared to their original releases, mainly through paint applications. This skin tone for this Linx is much lighter than the skin tone what we got with the original release. But to be honest, that's something that really doesn't bother me. I'm just happy to finally have this amazing character on my shelf, because it's been so long. I've waited years for this to happen. So let's take a closer look at this guy, and just looking at him, yeah, he looks absolutely magnificent. He is the best Sontaran ever. He is my favourite Sontaran to ever appear in Doctor Who. The eyes look a little bit cross-eyed, I will say that, which is a little bit of a shame. But apparently that's how they all ended up like. So, yeah, a little bit of a shame. All the detail on there looks exactly like how he did in the Time Warrior. Even got all the lines just above his nose there to give that impression he's frowning. And got the hair sculpted on just at his temple areas, and he's got a little goatee there. One thing I will say, it stood out a bit more on the original release from all the pictures I've seen and all the reviews that I've seen from YouTubers like Batman March, etc. all through the years. But this looks amazing. I just can't get over how good this figure, this sculpt looks. It's amazing. It's just so good. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm still over the moon that I finally have a Linx on the shelf, to have. Looking at the body, obviously the paint for the body is mainly bits of silver along with bits of black. And I've got to say, this body has been used on all the classic Sontaran figures, which makes complete sense. It's a good way to reuse the sculpt. It's got his little pocket there to put this wand device in. I'll give you a closer look at the wand as well, which is it's very nicely sculpted. Won't spend too long on this. It's mainly black. His handle is just in there. Might be quite hard to put in his hand because his hands only have 3 fingers. Because of course Sontarans, well most Sontarans anyway, they have 3 fingers. And there at the end is silver and gold. I think the original figure came with this as well, and it looked exactly the same. So I'm kind of glad that we had accessories included, because that's something we don't really get a lot of with B&M exclusive sets, which I'm fine with, don't get me wrong, but it's really good that we do with this set. So I'm just going to give you a look at the rest of the body. Very nicely painted. It's got his little scanner device there, which isn't removable, so don't try and remove it. Just there at the hips, again, like other Sontaran figures, he has that nice checkered pattern, and it runs all the way around. He's got all the plating around his knees and around his elbows, which hinders articulation slightly, but not too much. It's very nice that they included that as part of the armour. And looking at the boots, yeah, they're just simply black boots. They're sort of like wellies in a way, aren't they? But at the bottom you have them painted silver, which is something the character didn't really need to do, but I guess they wanted to really pay attention to detail. So that's the detail of this figure overall. Looking at the back as well, just give you a closer look at how he looks from behind. And once again, they've included the Probic vent, which is an essential part of the Sontaran armour. It is the weak spot. It is what an eye stalk is for a Dalek. Now, articulation, it's very much standard with pretty much all the other classic Sontarans that have been released through the years. The head, it can't do a 360 degree turn. I may have said before that these heads can do a 360 turn, but I was mistaken. I believe they can only do movement from like side to side. To be honest, I'm fine with that because, you know, it's not something which Sontarans really do. The shoulders, once again, can do a 360. There's bicep articulation and there's elbow articulation. The hands can do a 360 degree turn. The waist can move out from side to side. The legs can move up and down. The thighs can swivel, and the legs can move. The knees, sorry, can move back and forth as well. And the articulation is pretty much the same on the other Sontaran figure, which is included in this set, which I'll move on to in just a sec. But before we do, just talk a little bit about the helmets. I'll give you a closer look at that. Really like this, very nice silver finish. Got all the little dots in there, which creates the insignia of the Sontaran Empire, which is really, really nice. And you've got the mesh just here on the eyes as well, which is something character really didn't need to go to the efforts of doing. And looking inside, it's very basic inside, it's just black, but it's fine. One thing I will say, which is a pain in the ass on all these Sontaran figures, they're a pain in the ass to put the helmets on properly, but it is possible, but it takes a lot of faffing about, which, yeah, it is a pain in the ass, but once you do it, it's all worthwhile in the end. So I'm not going to demonstrate it for this review because I might end up taking a ridiculous amount of time doing it, so I'm just going to show you or give you an impression of what it may look like once it's plugged in, because there's like plugs on the top here where you plug in the helmet, and you can just prop it on because these bits sort of fit into place, but they're really tight with it, if that makes sense. It's not as easy as it looks or sounds, to be honest with you. And that's also the same with the Styre figure, which we are now going to take a look at. So I'll just move Linx out the way for the time being. Linx is an amazing figure. He's just really brilliant, as is this figure, who coincidentally is my second favourite Sontaran to ever appear in Doctor Who in the two-part adventure, the Sontaran Experiment. Now, the sculpt of Styre, as far as I am aware anyway, is pretty much the same as what we originally got. There's probably differences here and there with the paint applications. Again, I didn't even get the original sculpt or release of this figure, so I can't really do a side-to-side comparison. But looking at this figure, the body is pretty much the same as what we got before. Notably, the boots are different on this Sontaran because this one had silver boots. So for that, they did a whole new sculpt with the legs, because this Sontaran also doesn't have a little pocket just on his right leg there, which Linx did have. It's something which character really didn't need to do. If they just did the same old legs, I would have been happy, but they were very attentive to detail. They did that. The sculpt on his boots are very nice, giving it a silver matte finish, and even at the back there, they just painted black, and yeah, really stand out. Even the heels and everything like that, and just there on the tips of the feet. Looking at the rest of the body, pretty much the same. Scanner's a little bit different, but essentially it's the same thing. He's holding his little gun with the ping pong ball on the end of it, which is really cool way to pose him. He's got 4 fingers on 1 thumb, this Sontaran. He was the only Sontaran in Doctor Who to have this. All the others have 3 fingers. The gun I would show more to you of, like in hand, but it is a pain in the ass to put in the hands. I will say that this gun, bit like the helmets, they're a bit of a pain in the ass to actually pose them with the guns. They're actually easier, believe it or not, when they have 3 fingers, which, you know, is a little bit odd, because most figures in the character options Doctor Who range, of course, would have 5 fingers, because, you know, most of them are human. Now, looking at the head, absolutely exceptional head sculpt once again. Obviously, I prefer Linx because I think the makeup on him was better. But here they've added things like veins on the temple and everything to make it a bit more realistic, make it a little bit more like an actual creature. But looking at the face, yeah, he really just looks like he's come out of 1975. He's really good. One of my favourite Sontarans, and the Sontaran Experiment is a good story, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Came from season 12 of Doctor Who. Very, very good story. So yeah, that is Styre. What can I say? There's not really much more to say. To be honest with you, he's amazing. He's an amazing Sontaran, an amazing one to also have on the shelf, and one, again, like Linx, I missed out on. Of course, he comes with his helmet as well. Not as detailed as Linx's helmet, but that's fine, because that's how this helmet looked in the Sontaran Experiment. Doesn't have the insignia on the top or anything like that, but it's fine. It looks different on the shelf. Once again, in the eyes, he's got the mesh. I don't know if you can see that. It's not really that focused when I show it to you. It is a little bit easier to put it on this Sontaran, I will say that. So yeah, that is Styre. I think the only differences with this version and the original version is, I think, like parts of the body armour were painted in bits different colours and stuff like that. So I think the helmet was like darker, or it could have even been black. I can't really remember, but I think top of my head that's how it looked on the original versions of the figure. So if you have those as well as this version of Styre, then I suppose you could use this as like army building purposes, because Sontarans are perfect for that. They're all clones of each other at the end of the day, which is very, very nice. So that is Styre, an amazing figure, just like Linx. But now we're going to take a look at one of the other figures, or the other final figure to come in this set, and it is Harry Sullivan. And I'm going to say this right at the bat. In my opinion, Harry Sullivan is not an imbecile. He is a great companion, played by the late, great Ian Marter. And believe it or not, we have an action figure of Ian Marter. Yes, we have an action figure of Harry Sullivan. Couldn't believe it. One of the biggest surprises in recent years regarding Doctor Who action figures. It's something which we never ever thought that we'd ever see. Now, the way they've used parts of existing figures for this particular figure was very good. It was very economic of character options, and it really works well. They used the duffel coats of the 4th Doctor, which coincidentally is the same duffel coat what he wore in the Sontaran Experiment. This figure is also based on the Sontaran Experiment, so it fits right in with figures like Styre and the 4th Doctor, and with his duffel coat. The shirt, I think, is a reuse of an existing sculpt, or it might be new. They've added like a little bit of blue paint here to give off the impression that he's wearing his jacket underneath. So I don't know, maybe in the future we may see another variation of Harry Sullivan just with his jacket on minus duffel coat. That would be very, very welcome to have. But looking at this and everything, it's so good. The trousers, I think they're just like normal trousers what we've seen on other 5-inch figures. To be honest, you can get away with that. It doesn't really take anything away from this figure. The brand new thing about this, of course, is we have a new head sculpt, and the head sculpt I think looks really good. Looks just like Ian Marter, and to be honest with you, it's one of the best likenesses that we've ever had for a companion. It's got everything in there. He's got his sideburns, he's got curls in his hair and everything. He's got blue eyes, and yeah, exceptional likeness. And this is just for a budget set, and it's so good. One of the best things to happen in recent years with Doctor Who action figures. So happy to have a Harry Sullivan figure, and I didn't really realise how good he'd look on a shelf. It's something that I could have only dreamed of. Now I just hope that we get many other companions from the classic series coming out in the future for this range, because I think it would really, really benefit this range, and well, it looked really good on the shelf, wouldn't it? So overall, absolutely fantastic figure, and I hope that we do get more companion figures coming out in the future, whether it be in B&M sets or whatever. We'll have to wait and see. Watch this space. Before we go on to the conclusion of this review, I'll just give you a rundown of articulation. Pretty much normal. The head is able to do a 360-degree turn. The arms can do a 360. Biceps, elbows, wrists also have their usual standard articulation. Legs, thighs, knees, and a little bit of the waist can do a bit of swivel here and there. Obviously, the legs can't do that much going side to side because of the duffel coat, but that's absolutely fine. And overall, that is my action figure review of the Sontarans set. A remarkable set, easily one of my favourite ever sets for Doctor Who action figures. It goes without saying. We have 2 Sontarans, which I've always wanted, never ever got my hands on them, really happy to get those. And we get Harry Sullivan for the first time ever, a figure which many of us thought that we'd never ever get. And it's really good. If you're really into your 1970s Doctor Who and you're into action figure collecting, then this is definitely the set for you, and it's easily one of my favourite sets because 3 of these figures, all 3 of them, are brilliant. I can't really fault them much at all, to be honest with you. In fact, I can't fault them. That's it, full stop. I can't fault these figures in any way. They are some of the best figures that have ever been made for Doctor Who by Character Options, and I just, yeah, this set is just amazing and it's outstanding. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure reviewing these figures for you. Stay tuned for more Doctor Who action figure reviews, and for now we will wait and see what is in store for the future of this line, with more B&M sets rumoured to be coming out very soon, so watch this space. And until then, have a great day, and I shall see you in the next one.